to that, I would just describe the design and construction of jack-in piles. We usually, let's say, understand the type of piles which we came across is, let's say, board cast in situ piles, driven piles, or I would say driven cast in situ piles. However, we would like to discuss today is some focus on, let's say, what kind of a piles which we consider as, let's say, high performance and cost effective. So because there is some, let's say, science, or I would say performance points need to be evaluated, what we called high performance. And then we also need to understand that for any piling, does the end bearing and the shaft friction or shaft resistance mobilizes at same time? Actually, this aspect is not that much covered in all of our theoretical pile capacity assessments, even if we go with the 2911, IS 2911, or let's say classical soil mechanics or geotechnical engineering books. What is missing is that the displacement associated with the each, let's say, theoretical estimation of shaft resistance and the end bearing resistance. And then we will see what actually is jack-in piles. For some of you, this would be a new particular type piles. And then one of the case histories which we would like to go. That we all know the board cast in situ piles, driven cast in situ piles, then the precast concrete piles or a classical driven piles, and then steel tubular piles. And today we will be having another one, which is, let's say, jack-in piles. But most commonly we are using this, let's say, board cast in situ piles, and we are more conversant and, let's say, more associated with these board piles. So the classific calculations and the design briefs which we know is for board cast in situ piles. If we compare all the three piles, the board cast in situ piles or a driven precast piles, these comparisons have been very well documented. But the main importance is that board piles, what we call as a drilled, let's say, displacement or replacement piles, means we would like to do a pile bore, and then we just pour the concrete into the drilled shaft, so that practically we are replacing the soil, the soil with the concrete which we are moving in. Whereas in the driven piles, we are trying to push the piles into the ground, whereas the pushing mechanism is by, let's say, impact driving or hydraulic driving, or I would say there are other methods to drive the piles. And precast piles also, this is cast in situ, where we may drill the mandrel into it with a hollow mandrel, and then we will put the concrete inside and then try to withdraw the mandrel. Whereas this is the classical precast piles, where the precast piles will be pushed into the ground. Now, let's say what we mean by high performance. Does it mean that the pile is supposed to have a very high capacity? Because this capacity, or I would say resistance, is directly related with the pile diameter and the length of the pile and the mechanism by which you would like to mobilize the resistance. And we all know that if the pile do not have a end bearing resistance, probably it would be considered to be a classical friction piles. But in most of the cases, the pile has a let's say, two component. One is shaft resistance and the end bearing. And then we sum it up to find out their capacity. But does it mean that for lower diameter pile, if I got the capacity, my pile is a high performance? I don't think so. That also need to be evaluated. The most important part is the quality issues. That means whatever the pile which we would like to install into the ground, need to have been assured with the quality. And most of the times for board piles, recently going into the India, has a majority of a quality issue. And then high productivity, this also need to be seen for, because of most of the piling projects, if it is a very large piling projects, probably let's say 10,000 or 20,000 numbers of piles to be installed in some small duration of time of 6 months to 8 months, probably the productivity also come into picture. And if all put together, that productivity, quality, then I have a diameter versus the size and smaller dia and the high resistance. if we put all together, probably then we can say that it is a high performance pile. And the most important is we usually do not check the stiffness of the pile. All the structural members we know need to be evaluated using the stiffness. That means at a smaller displacement, what would be the resistance mobilized? Because we all know about the displacement limits. So what stiffness for this particular discussion is the resistance offered for the unit displacement within the working load range. So does the pile capacity resistance or a shaft end bearing resistance mobilize at the same time? The question is very complex. I would say if we compare the shaft resistance, which is this curve over here, and then there is a base resistance, which is this curve on the screen. And then if you sum it up, probably we will get the main combined resistance plot of one particular pile. And if we try to find out the displacement, that means the pile head displacement, the shaft friction will mobilize, peak shaft friction will mobilize at a displacement range of 0.2 to 0.4% of the diameter, which is practically, let's say if we have a 1 meter diameter, probably 20 mm to 30 mm or 22 mm to 40 mm, our shaft will be fully mobilized. But in case of end bearing, probably you need to mobilize, or you need to push the pile to certain extent of approximately 5% to 10% to mobilize the end bearing resistance, which means my final resistance is over here, but my practical displacement, allowable displacement is here. And usually I am referring this to this because at a smaller displacement of 12 mm to 18 mm, which is as per IS Indian standard, I could not get the end bearing fully what has been calculated over here. So if this is the, let's say 700, 800 metric ton of end bearing, but at a 20 mm, I will hardly get a 30% of it. So which means I need to have a very, let's say steep pile so that my peak mobilization or a resistance would be mobilized at a smaller displacement. And this need to be achieved in a separate way. Again, there is a issues with the board pile constructions. We need to drive the temporary liners. And in case where you have a very soft soil at the top, probably the borehole stability is also going to be a big issue. And this all thing depends or affects the pile resistance along the shaft, as well as the quality of the piles need to be produced. And that's why what we considered is a jack-in piles. Now, let us say how it is different. The ultimate resistance of the jack-in pile is a function of maximum jack-in force. And then this would be, let's say, directly measured while you install the piles. And mobilization of shaft friction and end bearing would be at a very small distance or a small, let's say, settlements, which will allow you to get, I would say, the peak resistance or a high resistance at a very small displacement. We'll just try to explain you what it actually is. Let's say we have one precast elements and we just grip that pile and try to push into the ground so that there will be no vibration and there will be no impact, and this pile will be gripped and pushed into the ground very slowly and gradually, which means to drive this beam, I need to have a counterweights onto the top of it so that whatever the resistance this pile is offering, probably I can have a dead weight against it. And the rig move looks like this. This is the main gripping element. This is the pile. Probably this is the arm. And you see, I'll say these are the counter blocks. We'll see in some good pictures into it. But this mechanism is for gripping the things. So all these things are hydraulic grippers, which will grip the pile and pushed into the ground. And if you see, each rig is equipped with the small, let's say, crane, so that they can pick the pile from the ground pitch it into the main rig. These are the shaft which will grip the pile and then push into the ground. So it is just like let's say, this is the better picture to explain you. This is the main rig, which is resting on long slipper. This is on the short slipper. So it can move in X direction as well as into the Y direction horizontally also, based on the pile locations you would like to install, so that after pitching it, probably it will go into ground. This is the bigger picture. You see all the types of piles or drill rigs are available. This is the tripod rigs. This is the, let's say, hydraulic rigs. And this is the, let's say, jack-in pile machine. And you can see this crane is pitching one pile over here inside. This is the gripper, and this pile will be pushed into the ground very smoothly. And the driving particular, I would say, minutes, it should be 10 minutes in a 12-meter segment, will require hardly 5 to 7 minutes. I'll just explain you that these piles have been precast piles. These are the, let's say, lifting hooks, and the casting yard for these piles. This is the first pile, and then there will be a second pile cast into the, let's say, besides it to save on shuttering. And this everything would be, let's say, cured into the casting yard like this, and then this would be shifted to, let's say, the main particular piling yard over here. This is, I'm just explaining you to have a feeling on construction part, and probably we will try to understand the behavior of it or geotechnics of it for using with one case study. This is one particular project site where there are plenty of boreholes have been drilled, and if we study the pile SPT N values, if I see almost up to 20 meters over here, the SPT value is hardly 8, 10, 7, even up to 25 meters, the SPT values are less than 15. And besides it, or I would say 50 meters away from it, there is a good borehole also where the SPT values have been improved after 15 meters. Now, in such kind of a very soft soil, whereas a very soft plastic clay is available or a silt, the borehole stability is a big question. So even if you drive some temporary liner of top 5-6 meters, it won't suffice you to have a good stable borehole for the lower one. And people try to install the board piles into it, but because of such kind of a peculiarity into the subsoil conditions, they could not install the board piles in a better way with a good quality control. And piles have been failed in load testing miserably. If we try to understand all the boreholes or all SPT values, you can see that practically it is increasing in order after 20-25 meters, and then it is reaching almost up to 30-40 at a depth of 35 meters. And these are the precast piles driving records. That means if I try to drive the pile into the ground with a, let's say, a precast pile into the ground, this is the force mobilized for the pushing the piles into the ground. And when it comes to almost, let's say, 30-32 meters, probably I have a maximum jacking force. This is for one particular area, and this is for another area. And you can see it is perfectly or closely matching with the SPT profiles which is going on to it. So it is nothing but, let's say, when you try to push a cone into the ground, what would be the resistance? These jack-in piles will experience in the same way with a flat bottom, which we have it. Flat bottom in the sense we do not use the conical shape at the base, but it's just like a flat bottom. This is, let's say, the load testing. This is earlier one, or I would say successful load of 800 dia precast pile, 800 dia board cast in situ piles, which we replaced with the 350 by 350 and 400 by 400 square piles. But you see the stiffness at a 5 mm or 6 mm, it mobilizes approximately 100 to 120 ton of let's say shaft resistance, and this resistance is comprised of end bearing as well as the shaft resistance probably. And another new things which we did was to stack this let's say all precast piles at one place, where we want to let's say do some buildings using shallow foundations. So we use this particular dead weights as a preloading. That means if I consider approximately let's say 5 or 6 layers of the pile, probably the weight which has been onto the ground would be considered to be a precast weight on these areas. Later on, after this let's say driving of all the piles, this particular area is fit for a smaller I would say the loads. Again, the clear advantages of such kind of a pile is very low noise, it is vibration free, or no or little spoils. Jacking force is a direct indicator of the piles or pile resistance. Very high stiffness, which means the pile resistance is available at a very small displacement, and end bearing can be mobilized even with a smaller displacement. The good quality pile is guaranteed because you are driving it, there are no impact, there are no stresses, so your reinforcement ratios are also very less. And then any length you can drive. We did 36 meters long piles in a 3 segments. Each segment is welded with each other. I don't know whether I have a time to run.
Yeah, about 2 minutes, sir.
So I will just try to let's say run a video which will be able to understand what is this particular let's say the pile about. I don't know. Just a moment. I need to come out from the session or screen and then try to. Okay. Is there video is let's say on your screen?
You are able to see, yeah, please.
Yeah. No, you are able to see the screen of video?
Yes.
Yeah, you can see these piles are been, let's say, driven into the ground, and how slowly it has been pushing into the ground. You will be able to see this was 400 by 400 square piles, which was pushed almost, let's say, 2 segments, 30 meters, 15 meter each segment. And you can drive it at the flat bottom. The resistance for the driving itself is an indication of your pile capacity into the ground, because you can push the pile only when you mobilize your full end bearing and the shaft resistance. So your pushing resistance would be measured onto the let's say the control screen at the top, and when it reaches to your let's say considerable resistance or your termination level, probably you terminate the pile and stop the driving. Again, go back and then.
Just you have 30 seconds, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So I don't have much more slides to share. If you have any questions or you want more information to, let's say, on this particular, probably either you can mail me or have a let's say call to me on my mobile number. That's fine. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Muthukumaran, first to have an opportunity to share something on this IGS, let's say, conference platform. And thanks for Professor Tyagarajan for his kind words and introductions in the beginning. And thank you very much for all of us to have a